Hey, welcome to A Game for Thoughts. Today we're talking about Dishonored 2. So Dishonored 2 is a sequel to the first Dishonored game, takes place about 15 years after the events of the first game, and follows Emily or Corvo as they go across the city of Karnaca to stop the evil witch Delilah after she takes over the throne and traps the other person in stone. Okay, so that's kind of confusing and weird, so let me explain. So Dishonored 2 does something very cool. It has two different characters that you can play as, Emily or Corvo, and whichever one you don't pick is the one that gets trapped in stone, so they're kind of your main goal. And I thought this was cool as it really opens up this game for multiple playthroughs. While picking the two different characters, you definitely play a lot of the same story. There's a lot of the same beats, and you do mostly the same things. I thought that was fine, and I did really enjoy seeing the different perspectives on different moments and kind of seeing which character kind of has certain feelings towards different things, and also just really opens up the game to be played through multiple times so you can kind of see both sides of it. Just like the previous Dishonored game and most Arkane games, this game has multiple pathways and different endings depending on what you do and choose. And so you get to play through each character and you can pick and choose your different endings and your different pathways, and it just leads to very wide variety of gameplay options. But as a story overall, I really enjoyed the first game's story. It was pretty basic and straightforward, but I still feel like it did a good job of motivating the characters and kind of moving along. And I feel like the second game did that too. It had a really kind of cool mystery to it and kind of figuring out who Delilah was and what her kind of role is in all this and figuring out each of the characters and kind of how they tie into everything. It was really cool and interesting, and this game really opens up to offer a lot of new characters. I love the world of Dishonored. It's got a very cool aesthetic and it's a very cool time, place, and just very interesting. And I feel like this game was awesome because it took you to different places. In the first game, you were kind of stuck in Dunwall, and I was just fine with that. But this game takes you to cool, new, and different places that have a lot of variety. And it was interesting to see different parts of this kingdom and just kind of the overall, just something new. Like I said, this game brings us a lot of new characters, and I thought these new characters were awesome, and it was cool to see references or return of older characters that we know from the first game, or kind of hear their fates, and just interesting things like that. I thought it did a great job with its characters, and some of these new characters were actually pretty awesome, specifically the character Megan Foster. And it was cool to see a new character get this much attention because I thought she was a great character and she was voiced by the awesome Rosario Dawson. So it was great to see her character get a lot of attention in this game. And she even got her own spin-off, The Death of the Outsider, which I will be reviewing. And I thought it was really cool to see a new character get this much attention because she was just a really interesting and cool character that had a great tie into the first game. In the end, I really thought the general story of this game was awesome. It had a really interesting narrative. While the writing wasn't always the best or some certain logics didn't always fit, I thought just the game as an overall experience was pretty well done, and it had a great story that had a good conclusion and a very good beginning. I guess the other way around. Good beginning, good conclusion. This story does have a lot of replayability, not just in the two different storylines, but also because of the gameplay. Arkane is known for their choose-your-own-adventure style gameplay. I thought the first Dishonored did a great job at this, and I feel like the second Dishonored does a great job of continuing and expanding upon this gameplay style. The biggest thing this comes from is the larger levels and the different characters being able to do different abilities because you have two different characters to play as. The larger levels certainly help, but I really want to talk about the characters and their abilities first. So having two characters, you get your powers from the Outsider, and I did think it was interesting that it offered you a no powers mode, which I feel like would be really difficult. I just thought it was a cool touch. But anyways, so having your two different characters, Emily has more like shadow-based powers. She can turn into like this little shadow creature that crawls around, or you can like use like a slingshot ability to launch you from one place to another, or just different things like that that are a little bit more shadow-based. And Corvo has his same abilities from the first game, and I would have liked to see Corvo kind of have some new abilities, but I really enjoyed his powers from the first game, so I was kind of okay with it. As you go through the game, you have to find these things called runes, and it was really cool because you get this heart. This was the exact same thing in the first game, but you get this heart and it like beats in your hand the closer you get to runes, and you can use them to explore the world and just really find some neat and interesting places or some kind of cool side puzzles. But it rewards you in these runes that you can use to choose your different abilities, and you can use to upgrade certain ones or have a little bit of all abilities. They're just not as powerful or useful in different situations, things like that. And it was a really cool system that I really loved in the first game, and I felt like they just did a really awesome job in the second game with it. With all these different powers and the two different characters, it just really opens up for endless playthroughs and kind of mixing and matching the powers, seeing which ones work best for different play styles, or even just generally how you want to play, lethal or non-lethal. Some powers work in favor of more of one than the other. And it's just really awesome as you just endless possibilities. It's just like a giant puzzle that you can kind of pick and choose what you want, or a buffet. It's like a buffet. There are so many different options and they're all great. And it's like, okay, what do I want? I want a little bit of this steak. Ooh, that chicken looks really good. Or, ooh, that vegetable looks awesome. You can kind of just pick and choose and it's awesome. But in the end, you get the giant chocolate cake and it's totally worth it and it's delicious. Or if you don't want the chocolate cake, you could totally go with the carrot cake. I don't know. I'm hungry, but this sounds really good though, right? With all of this, like I said, it's really complemented by the improved levels. I really love the levels in this game as they're really big. Each one can take several hours to play through depending on how much you explore and like the different like side quests or side activities you can do throughout and just to kind of help benefit you throughout. Finding black markets and doing little side quests to get cool new upgrades or more runes or a cool bone charm that'll really help your general skills or abilities. Things like that just really make these worlds and levels really expanded upon and really complement the rest of the gameplay. I thought the level design was fantastic. I loved the Kieran's mansion level. I thought that was great with its different moving rooms and being able to go between the walls. The levels were used very efficiently. Their spaces are very improved and really well used. Nothing is there for no reason. Everything can be used for some place. A different area can be used as a cool scouting location or as a place to kind of get you from one point to another, a cool middle ground. And just the variety of gameplay, the choose your own adventure style of Arkane games is phenomenal and is really complemented by great gameplay, fantastic level design, and the two different character options. The world of Dishonored has got kind of this cool hand-painted style. While the first game really went heavy on this, I feel like the second game went for a little bit more realistic approach, but you can still see this light detail there. And I thought that was great. It just looks awesome and just like the subtle detail to it, so that when you really notice it, it just looks really cool and it's got a very interesting style to it. And on the plus side, I don't think of any technical issues or problems that I had. Everything runs great and it just plays awesome and was a very fluid experience. This game has a great cast with some actually really famous faces. Like I said, Rosario Dawson plays Megan, and there's Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones, or Lord Lobbin Taylor from Gotham, and it was just really cool to see these familiar faces and recognize their voices and be like, hey, I know you. But I feel like Corvo and Emily, their voices were kind of more uninteresting. I felt like they seemed kind of bored or they didn't really want to be there. And it was very unfortunate because I feel like if these actors are getting a little bit more passion, a little bit more character to these voices, it could have really improved their inner monologue and their dialogue. But it just sounds like Corvo doesn't want to be there. I feel like Corvo is the worst example because he's like, oh no, a guard, darn. It just didn't seem like it just wasn't interesting. And it was a bummer to see, and I really wish they could have improved that. But I really like seeing, like I said, familiar faces, Rosario Dawson, Robin Lord Taylor, Pedro Pascal, and even Sam Rockwell. Yes, that's right, Sam Rockwell. It was great to see these faces, and I feel like they did a great job. And so it was a bummer to see side characters get more shine than these main characters did. So in the end, I feel like Dishonored 2 was a really solid sequel to the first Dishonored game. I love the first Dishonored game, and the sequel was a great addition to the series and absolutely worth having in your collection. The choose your own adventure style of play that Arkane is known for is fantastic, and I feel like it's superbly complemented by this Dishonored series, and Dishonored 2 just continues that. It has a solid story, solid gameplay. While the voice acting is a tad inconsistent, there are some famous faces that do a great job. The art style is fantastic, the level design is incredible, there's just so many really awesome things to say about this game, and I think it's a game that's absolutely worth playing. It's worth your time and worth checking out, and just really complements the Dishonored series and really shows how awesome of developers Arkane really is. And so yes, I highly recommend you play Dishonored 2. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know what you think about Dishonored 2 down in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you want to hit like, subscribe, and the bell to get notified every time I post a new video, that would be awesome. And if you want to see more of me, I'm over at Twitch at twitch.tv/thegameforyourthoughts. I'm streaming there all the time, and I would love to see you there. Thanks again for watching the video. I hope you have an awesome day, and we'll catch you guys next time on A Game for Your Thoughts.